You might not realize it, but if you live in the Wabash Valley, you've probably noticed Bill Wolf's work. He creates larger-than-life tribute statues like the Larry Bird statue outside the Holman Center. But Wolf's current project is extra special. News 10's Ross Rowling steps off the beaten path.
It's easy for an artist to get attached to their work.
There's so much more emotion with this one.
Long nights.
Worked at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. I've worked till the birds start chirping.
Every last detail.
When you're working on it and you start to feel like they could start talking to you, then you know you're getting there.
Bill Wolf creates lifelike pieces of art.
Sometimes I'll work 13, 14 hours on a sculpture.
And he's been doing it for a while.
And I've known since I was 4 years old that I wanted to be an artist.
Soldiers, presidents, athletes. He's made heroes of all kinds.
You know, you're honoring their legacy, and you've also created your own legacy.
But this project is different.
Just the fact that I'd always promised my dad that I would do this.
Bill Wolf Sr., a retired machinery operator.
He was a man's man.
Always beaming at the brilliant work of his son.
And you would think that someone like that would say, great, my boy is going to be an artist. Oh boy, you know, but he didn't do that.
Sometimes he'd even help out.
I started doing that and just throwing him the clay, and he'd warm it up and then throw it over to me.
But Bill Wolf Sr. passed away a couple years ago.
For me, this will be a real emotional thing when I get it completed.
Which brings us to this piece.
And I've always thought that's what I'm going to portray someday and make a sculpture of that in honor of my dad.
A larger-than-life tribute spurred in memory by a story his father used to tell.
He hated Korea. He absolutely hated it. War is not a nice thing.
A soldier in the Korean War, keeping lookout on the frigid hillside.
And he said, I reached up and I started wiping the tears away, and they were froze. The tears were froze on his cheeks.
Simply called Night Watch, a snapshot of history, duplicated in bronze to stand the test of time.
It's going to mean a lot to me and my family, I think. You know, when you work on things like this, it's really emotional.
Bill Wolf has seen many of his military sculptures unveiled through the years.
And you look around and here's these old veterans, you know, and I've seen them actually salute, and they're crying, you know. A lot of times you don't realize what you're doing has such an emotional impact.
But this one's bound to be extra special.
When I get it completed, and hopefully I'll put a plaque on there somewhere dedicated in honor of my dad.
What better way to build a legacy than a tribute to the greatest hero of all?
My dad was really proud of me.
In West Terre Haute with Chief Photojournalist Mike Latta, Ross Rowling, News 10.
The bronzing process will happen after the clay is set. There's no definite destination for the sculpture at this time. We'll be right back.